the agency would always tell me they like perfect skin. So I would spend so much time as a 15-year-old to put makeup on myself and try to hide my moles. Fashion felt like just creative bullshit to me. We're focusing on pretty faces. Why don't we focus on fashion and engineering, fashion and sustainability? People actually didn't care. We say we care about being green, but we don't really care, because what we care about is to get things in a cheap price with free shipping and the diversity and design which we want. There is no system currently in place that accurately incentivizes companies to be truly green. Whatever my mind imagines, I build it. Now I rebuild my own platform for Nold. Like now I build the first AI native peer-to-peer marketplace, and it's 10 times better. One super controversial belief that I have is, you know what?
Welcome to The Unfolding. I'm Olivier, and I'm really grateful you're choosing to spend some time with me. My intention is to explore topics about connection, meaning, and staying human in this digital age. If what you hear feels nourishing, you're welcome to subscribe, like, or follow. It's a simple way of supporting my work and helping it reach others. Thank you.
Boryana, we know each other since you were 15 years old.
Believe it or not, yes, and I'm past 30s now.
So you were half of your age when I met you in Elite Models Hong Kong. I remember being on the sofa and you turning around looking at me when you arrived and gave me your hand like, "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Boryana," with a big smile. I will always remember.
And you know what? Before this morning when I was taking a shower, I reminisced of this moment, because you've told it to me that this is something that have made an impression on you. And I was like, he's totally going to mention how he met me. And then I reflected on myself and said, God, how confident and cocky I was back then. And now when I've grown so much more, I'm so much less confident, I would say. And I made this quick parallel of how genuinely the more you grow in life, you understand like all of your mistakes back then, but back then you're so blinded by everything. So you're like, hello, I'm Boryana, nice to meet you. But yeah, a very quick, cute introspection into who I was then and who am I now.
You grew up in Bulgaria, and at 15, your mom was like, okay, go to Tokyo.
It wasn't exactly like that, but yeah.
How did that work?
From the age of 3 years old, I stuttered a lot. So maybe now that you know this, maybe in the conversation or when you listen to me speak, you would hear like little legacy of the stuttering. But since I was 3 years old to like around 15 years old, I was stuttering a lot. And so school never was the thing that I was most excited about, mostly the social part. So I was always okay with studying. I always believed I could do it much faster, and I was very dedicated to sports. And then I had an injury, so I had to terminate sports just like this. And sports was taking around 5-6 hours of my time at that time, even though I was so young. And so I was left with school. And at school, everyone was mocking me all the time, like, oh, you good girl. So it definitely wasn't something that I was looking forward to, going to school. Yes, I had some friends, but overall it was very like the type of experiences where you wake up and you immediately feel the anxiousness in your stomach, and falling asleep at night. I would so often, fall into this. Even until today, I have this, I call it night anxiety, where everything is okay. And then I go to bed and everything falls on my chest, and I will just like lie to the side and I would feel my tears wetting my pillow, just thinking, who is going to love me in life, if I cannot even communicate with them, like I cannot even say a sentence out. So maybe that's actually the only thing that makes me emotional very easily. Nothing else ever touches me the way this thing. So how it all happened was that, I terminated rhythmic gymnastics, and someone on the street just said, hey, we're shooting a movie and we need people for the like extras. We're paying 50 level, which is like 25 euro, which at the time was like definitely an impressive amount for a 14-year-old. So I was like, Dad, can I do it? So I did it. And from there on, I got the idea that maybe I can be a model and earn money. And in Bulgaria at that time, there was a very strong stigma that if you're a model, you likely are connected to like prostitution a little bit, stuff like this. So definitely, I mean, I was very aware of it. My family was very aware of it. I still went to agencies, and one woman who ironically is my neighbor these days said, you know what? This is who I want you to be. And she showed me an example of this girl that I love. Her name is Pavlina Encheva, who never even modeled in Bulgaria. She was in Milan, in Paris, in New York, looking gorgeous, earning money, studying, speaking languages. And she's like, this could be you. Like, you can travel the world, you can earn money. And I know that you would make more of it than just modeling. And so I told my mom and my father. And at the beginning, my father, like, clearly was ignoring it a little bit. And then it was Easter. We were in my grandmother's house, which is on the other end of Bulgaria, 5 hours drive away from where I live. And this woman calls me and she's like, there is a casting for Tokyo. Do you want to come? And I was like, my father was like, no, you're not going back to Sofia for a casting to go to Tokyo. Are you crazy? And my mom was just like, no, tomorrow we're going to Sofia. So this is how it all started. So we came back to Sofia. I went to the casting. I got approved. Of course, in the meantime, many serendipitous things happened. Like my father went on a dinner. He was like, you would not believe who was next to me. What's the name in English? Not the mayor, the consulate, in a sense, of Bulgaria in Tokyo. And he said, yes, it's completely safe. It's a very good industry there. She will be earning a lot of money. I managed to become a private student and study by myself and pass exams first once per semester, and then once that worked out, once per year. And so this is how it all started. And I found myself in Tokyo in the age of 15.
Could you speak English at the time already?
Yeah, I could. I remember the moment so clearly when I arrived at the hotel. I went on the terrace. I had an iPod from the first iPods back then. And I just put it in my ears and I played Rihanna. 'Cause you're the only girl. What was it?
Only girl in the world. So this one.
There in the world. And I was just looking at Toka and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm in Tokyo. I'm 15. I'm not going to school. I'm earning money. I'm like, who has this? So it was an exceptional feeling. I mean, I was the happiest in the world.
From that point, being 15 years old in an environment where you are judged every day for your physique.
Oh, yeah.
How did that impact you?
Yeah, you're right that when you're young, you don't necessarily get to judge things for what they truly are. You could take things a little bit more self-critical than you should, and different externally imposed standards that are decided by someone, definitely they come to you as a constant. So you're like, okay, I don't match this constant because I'm ugly. And in Japan, as you know, they have the culture of super clear skin, blue eyes, etc. And I have this mole until today, and not the clearest skin, etc. So I actually did super horrible as a model there. I almost didn't book any jobs. And whatever it was for, a hair casting, I didn't get it. Hand casting, I didn't get it. Shows, I didn't get it. Photo shoots, I didn't get it. And I was like, it's not working out. For some reason, I'm never the top choice in terms of beauty. And I started because the agency would always tell me they like perfect skin. So I would spend so much time as a 15-year-old to put makeup on myself and try to hide these things like my moles. So it did instill some degree of feeling that the natural me wasn't enough. And definitely I was putting makeup as a 15-year-old, which is ridiculous. And I think what had helped me is that, I don't know if all the girls had this, I would say rather not, but the father figure in my life has always in my life said, you're just not meant to be one thing. You're not just meant to be smart. You're not just meant to be pretty. You're not just meant to be an athlete. You can be all of these together. And that's where your value comes from. It comes from you being very smart. It comes from you investing in yourself, in your education, in your beauty, in your style, in your worldliness. So just, yes, you can model, but be the model that shines in the room with what you have to say and your manners and your experience, and that you're not just a pretty face and a hanger to put clothes on. So at this point, I think I never, even as a 15-year-old, I never took it too personally, because I've always been so curious about the world and trying to enrich myself. Like, for example, in Japan, I had started to learn Japanese. I had started to research into internships for marketing. I even got one, and I always felt that modeling was just my me. It was never the core. Like, I never imagined myself to be a supermodel. Rather, I imagine to be a figure that is taken pictures of because of everything else, because I maybe built a company, because I helped something happen, but never, this for me was never I never wanted to be a model and a super famous model. So yeah, it kind of partially there was this moment I'm not pretty, but then I went back to the bigger picture, which is well, I'm pretty enough to be invited in Tokyo, to be a model, but I can do all of the other things to build my personality around other strengths and maybe not my incredible, unique beauty, which I don't have.
Yeah, when I listen to you, there's so much celebration of how much there has been purpose, resilience, the support from your father figure to bring you this understanding that you're more than just a pretty face, but also so much sadness to think that you would think that you're not that pretty. I find it incredible. And if you wouldn't think that you're that pretty, what would other people think of themselves? You know what I mean?
I would say that this was around 2010, 2010. Mm-hmm. I think you also, because you've been in this industry as a model, as a photographer, you know that the standards of beauty were very different back then. I feel there was maybe zero impact, zero weight put on anything other than beauty and body. Do you know what I mean? It was, you're pretty, okay, you're on the cover. You're not pretty, okay, you don't. Or you look unique, okay, you're on the cover. But it was all about the physical. Whereas these days is so much more about the influence that you have. And I think some of the people who get signed the most are not the traditionally Fibonacci sequence perfectly positioned people, but the ones that have followers, in a sense that you are interesting with something. It could be with your beauty, but it could be with half of your face is actually hairy and not, so I think it's great that we've had this evolution in the beauty industry, especially for younger girls who haven't had the chance to reflect so much on who put those standards. Why are these standards the way they are? Who decided them? And maybe not have the mother and father figure to tell them, oh, fuck just plain beauty. You're so much more than plain beauty. But yeah, so I think people these days understand, I hope girls and boys understand so much more that it's physical beauty is fraction of what life is.
Yeah, when I hear you, there's both this, I have an understanding that the beauty and modeling industry has changed in the past years, but also from what I know, there has been a going back to traditional beauty in the past 2 years. So it really went openness, inclusion, and now back to a more conservative mainstream understanding of beauty. Why do you think is that?
I don't know how many of the companies are run by the new generation that actually drives the economy. Like millennials, I would say most of us millennials are okay on the verge of being old enough to understand the younger generations. And the younger generations, maybe you've seen it, but they so easily, just like that, cancel brands, cancel people. If you don't respect the reality the way it is, people don't want polished, powdered, perfect, sugar-coated stuff. we want things for what they are. Not 100%, but I feel so much more. So maybe some people are going back to older school values because they're older school, I would
Yeah,
say.
makes sense.
But if it resonates with the younger generation, with Gen Z, then it's not a managerial mistake. But if it doesn't, then I think I would attribute it to the wrong management with the wrong values, with the wrong vision being in power.
Mm. From that time, I met you then in Hong Kong, and I know you've studied in Hong Kong as well. What was the path from there? From, okay, Tokyo, amazing experience, didn't really work out in terms of modeling, but then things kept on going.
Yeah, things kept on going. So the only so I stayed in Tokyo for some time. I did more work, not as a model, but in the marketing internships. And then I wanted to continue exploring Asia. And at the time, my goal was China because I saw myself a little bit more developing in China, learning Chinese, learning the culture. And there was just this influence of like a few people that knew me that said, maybe first try Hong Kong and then go to China just as a transition. And so I listened to them, and this is how I ended up in Hong Kong. So I applied for a modeling agency in Hong Kong, and I got approved. So I went in Hong Kong in Elite Models, where I met you. And things worked out. So the reason why I was moving as a model is because, as you know, a modeling contract covers everything for you: flights, accommodation, pocket money. And then when you start making money, first they withdraw like that amount from your payouts, and then you start making money. But basically it was a risk-free way for me to explore the world. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna continue like with the modeling things. And in Hong Kong I did a little bit better as a model. I shot I shot more things than in Tokyo. So then what happened is that you played such a major part in what happened because you became one of my best friends. From day one, you became one of my best friends. And then you became the manager of a place where I loved the management. And you left to China. And somehow I was like, I want to do this job. I want to do the job that Ollie's doing. And then you were like, you know what? I'm going to China and I want you to take my job. Do you remember this?
I don't remember that conversation.
Maybe we were drunk. And I was like, what? That's the dream. So I started.
For the context for people, yeah, I was working as a PR and party organizer for this club where I was both sometimes hiring people for events or evenings and things like that. And so, yeah, a very different life, a lot of parties. And I remember hiring you sometimes while you were underage and legally not supposed to be in a club. Which I don't know if I can keep that on. I think it's okay, no? At this point, are we going to get in trouble?
In a club under 18, right? But yeah, well, I wasn't doing anything bad. But yeah, I was working. I was gaining work experience, and the management were people that inspired me a lot. They built one of the largest, coolest entertainment companies in Asia and across. Now they're in the UAE. They were people who I felt cared for me, like that I could rely on them to. I wasn't relying on them, but it was the kind of the connection that I would know that if something happens, they would always help me out. So I felt a place where I could work, I could evolve, and that I feel safe in. And yeah, specifically one of the three founders, Malcolm, was someone with, I think Phil was more like a father figure. And then Malcolm was also the figure that just with vision inspired me a lot, like how he saw every single project, every single restaurant, the concept polished to the maximum, how much he was investing into just making everything a super cool concept. And I think he was maybe one of the first teachers in terms of let's make this special type of marketing flair that I got. Yeah, definitely he's one of the people who left legacy in my mind when it comes to marketing and making things feel special. So I worked for them until I turned 18, while like modeling a little bit, but mostly I was working for them and for all of the restaurants. So during the day I was in the restaurants, during the night I was in the club, and on and on and on until I was 18 years old. And when I was 18, I was so done. Like, I didn't want to step foot in a club or outside. I mean, it was amazing because, you know, in Hong Kong, every time you go out, you meet 10 people that in other circumstances, it would take you 3 years to meet in any other like city and environment. So being in this company and gathering the people that they gathered definitely gave me incredible connections and knowledge. But yeah, when I turned 18, Ollie, I was thirsty to be locked in the library. I was like, I just want something very hardcore in terms of like very academically hardcore. I just want to lock in the library and not go out and just read and study and go to exams. And so I went to the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology when I was 17, and I fell in love with the campus. It's on the other side of Hong Kong that I never knew working in the Hong Kong Center in Central with all of the skyscrapers. Everything is luxurious. Everything is like all of the best restaurants. This was on the other island, very much in the nature, like literally wild boars are scaring you midway on your walk. Very isolated, very expensive to go to the center as a student. Like, I didn't have any resources to go to the center. Like, maybe once in the first year, I didn't even go to the center. I was just in the university. And I fell in love with the campus. It was on the shore of the seaside, and I researched it, and it turned out that it's one of the best universities in the world for what I wanted to do, which was more strategy, business, finance. The MBAs were number one at that time. So I was like, I just want to continue my experience in Asia. So I applied, I got in, I won a scholarship for the best program, for which they accept just 20 people. And all of the Chinese people who apply, I think there were 20 million Chinese students applying for university every single year. So of 20 million to go to the few best universities in China and this one in Hong Kong, you really need to be like, you really are top of the top 0.0002% smart people. I wasn't. The reason why I got in is because they had a quota of 2 people who are not from who are from Europe. And so I guess I was one of the 2 people who applied. So I got in the university, and it was the most hardcore, uplifting experience for me. Like, I felt like a gladiator, academic gladiator there. Like, I'm grateful I didn't commit a suicide. I'm grateful I went through it. I'm grateful like that I just academically, this is the hardest, one of the hardest places in the world with the highest suicide rates. So I'm like, good job on graduating there. Yeah, and I graduated with first class honors on the dean's list for out of 8 semesters, 6 semesters I'm on the dean's list. I come from a Bulgarian school, self-educated student, and so just the standards are so different. What I graduate in the 12th grade in Bulgaria in terms of, for example, maths is maybe like 3rd, 4th grade level math for people in China. So when I entered, and already in my first semester, I had calculus for engineers, for scientists and engineers, I entered the class, and the professor is just speaking letter and words, and I'm like, I don't know this alphabet. I just look like this, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? So it was so hard. It was like I had to catch up first with all of the academic things in English, like literally everything for economics, mathematics, management, everything. All of a sudden I had to learn in English. I had to catch up specifically with mathematics so much. So like such a major gap in mathematics. Also because just the level of physical, like mentally physical load is so much. I'm not joking. It was every single day, including Saturday and Sunday, 17 hours a day of studying, 17 hours a day. So it was a different world in terms of academics.
You got your degree. What happened next?
So actually, even before I got my degree, I had already started working on my first startup. I think actually in the first year already of university, I had started to work on my first startup. I had a class where we had to assess the impact of an industry on the environment, and I chose fashion because I thought fashion is it's an industry that I have worked in that I didn't quite like because I was like, I wasn't successful in it. So I was like, let me put some pressure on fashion. And then from my research, this was 2013, it turned out that fashion is so polluting that it absolutely cannot be sustained. And this is something that we need to talk about. So I took this as I felt very connected to this mission. And so I was thinking, what should I do? What should I do? And I was like, maybe we should start producing clothes, perfect fit and on demand, so that we actually just produce stuff when people want these stuff. So I launched my first startup. I worked with one of my professors who he was the head of engineering of the school at the time. So we made a robot which transforms into your body, which companies can then use to produce perfect fit clothing. It wasn't successful. I mean, we kept on going until 2018 with this project. It wasn't successful because of not realizing at the time that people just want instant gratification. You want to go to store X and buy it now, maybe wear it and return it for free. You don't want to wait for 2 weeks to have something perfect because you also might not even know what exactly you want. So it was a good idea in theory, but not in practice. And so I spinned this off to another company, which was the first sustainable marketplace, a marketplace for sustainable fashion in the world at the time, Co-Conscious. So I worked for this a little bit. So I kept on into the sustainable fashion domain. And then I returned in Bulgaria, where I met my now husband and father of my kids. So then I continued the project there, started another project, again in circular economy, which until today I'm working on. It got financed and growing. So I'm still into the sustainable fashion domain, working on circular solutions to eliminate the impact of fashion.
You're saying that the fact that you were not as welcomed in fashion as you would have wished, because you still managed to get some jobs, so it's not like you didn't work at all, but there was something in you that had resentment towards it, and you think that also pushed you at looking at the faults of the industry?
I wouldn't say resentment, but I would go back to what my father has raised me to be more than just beauty. And at the time, fashion felt like just creative bullshit to me. Felt like, oh, we're focusing just on clothes. We're focusing on pretty faces. Why don't we focus on more stuff like on technology, fashion and technology, fashion and engineering, fashion and sustainability? And so when I did this research and found out how polluting it is, I said maybe it's time we make more of fashion, not just make pretty stuff, but actually think about what they cost to our planet. Because I would think that ultimately what is truly beautiful and luxurious, it's not something that comes at the cost of our planet and how sustainable it is. So it was rather, I would say, positive, like, let's make something more out of fashion. Like, let's be more than just pretty clothes. Let's be clothes that are thoughtful, that are mindful, build it in an economic model that makes sense, is just as accessible, just as cheap, just as beautiful, but it circulates what we have or is produced more consciously. So first I started with conscious production, didn't work out too early. Now maybe it's a better time, but 2013 was way too early. And so I focused on circular economy a lot more now these days, and that's working well for the current moment.
One thing that I like about what you're doing now is, from what I understand, it's a project that you started for your own clothes, that you wanted to get rid of some of your own clothes, and that's how the project you're working on started.
Yeah,
Is that it?
my latest project Nold started exactly in this way. I had around 40 pieces that I had bought maybe on discount, or maybe I loved at the moment, but I didn't end up wearing. And usually I would just gift these clothes, but now there were almost brand new clothes by okay brands like Massimo Dutti, so I didn't want to just give 40 pieces like this. And so my passion is to build websites. Now it's building things with AI now that we have AI. So I built a website to list my clothes, and they all sold out in like 10 minutes. And so we started this as a business. So the first funding we got was for this business. And then I wanted to provide something more unique than Vinted and Vestir Collective on a global level. So it's evolved very interestingly.
What's the difference between what you do and Vinted, for example?
So the end goal which we have is to work with the brands to build a marketplace where the brand invites its users to sell what you no longer wear and get 100% cash or 100% plus in-store credit for the brand so that you return to the brand. So actually brands are the ones who endorse secondhand for you to sell your stuff on the secondhand market and use your proceeds to buy the new stuff. So the difference is that we include brands in the equation, which is a major thing for me to make brands excited about resale. Because if currently what happens is that in huge brackets, I love Vinted. I think they're the absolute winner of the market. I have a lot of respect also for Vestir Collective. So I think what they've done is great. If I have to give an honest criticism of one thing, which I honestly think is happening, is that if you make secondhand so preferred, then brands need to react to it, because they would not just sit there and let secondhand steal their market share. They would make things even more diverse and even cheaper and even more accessible, just so that they continue to be the first choice. So at the end of the day, they end up producing cheaper and more, just so that they're more exciting the secondhand. And so for me, building an economic system where brands earn from secondhand are aligned with the incentives of secondhand is crucial towards actually building a more circular economy.
Where are you at now with these projects?
So we got a very big funding for this project, and we contracted over 80 brands. And the major wall that we hit is that even though brands signed the contract, they weren't ready, they weren't exactly ready to actually start doing it. They just were very hesitant. Do we do it in a marketplace? Do we do it in our own closed loop environment? Do we do it as if it's ours and you power the technology, or we do it in collaboration? And so discussions kept on going for a year, literally for a year. And you have these major companies, of course, I cannot name names, but top of the companies in the world, where simply because they're so major and they have to protect their brand that they've been building with millions and with years and with so much resources, decisions would genuinely, it's normal that they take a year. But for us, this would mean that as a startup, we burn 60, 70K per month on waiting, because we don't have a paying client. We are waiting for them to start to launch the project, which starts making money at the point of launch. So this 1 year of waiting was very detrimental to our runway and to what we were doing. And so what we started to do is we started working with them immediately on sample sales. So we would be taking old stock that is unsold and sell it to Eastern European markets, where the brand doesn't have such major presence, and they don't worry so much about diluting their first-hand market. So if you can imagine some of the biggest brands, let's say they focus on UK, US, UAE, but not so much on what's going on in the Eastern European market, for example, which is where I'm from. So they feel okay to do sample sales here. So this is how we kind of pivoted the business model with sample sales to clear stock in those secondary to them markets. And additionally, I've built a fully AI native, fully AI driven platform for markets with cash on delivery. This is maybe something you haven't heard about, but cash on delivery is when you buy something, you don't pay for it at the moment of checkout. You pay for it after you see it. When you receive it from the courier, you actually can open it and then you pay. And if you don't like it, you return it. So you never have commitment to money unless you actually touch it and want it. So there are markets like this. Bulgaria is a market like this. Greece is a market like this. Philippines is a market like this. Mexico is a market like this. And these are markets in which Vestir Collective and Vinted cannot enter, because their whole business model is focused around owning the money of the transaction, making a commission on the transaction, and securing the whole process. So they cannot change their process for a tiny market, for example, like Bulgaria. So I built a technology, a peer-to-peer marketplace, just like Vinted, but all of the business model and the processes are specialized for cash on delivery operations. And so we're we're operating this technology in such markets. So instead of fighting Vinted Investor, we just built Vinted for cash on delivery markets and specializing it in those places.
There's been a surge in demand for green fashion and sustainable fashion, from what I understand, around COVID time. But I've heard of a term called, is it greenwash fatigue or sustainability fatigue, something like that?
Yeah, greenwashing, green fatigue. Yeah. What's my opinion on it?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely a lot of greenwashing. There is no system currently in place that accurately incentivizes companies to be truly green. And so when there is no strict framework and penalties for you to not be green, you're not going to change your 100-year-old legacy processes to all of a sudden be green without any benefit. I'm a very very green and conscious person, but maybe the people who run the major companies are not like 30-year-old women. So just the incentives are not quite the same. And so, yes, there have been campaigns which I think were rather, instead of doing something good, were, I guess, primarily focused on getting a little bit of traction, like points. Oh, we're doing something green, so we must be hot. And then two interesting things happened. First of all, it backlashed maybe 80% of the time. It backlashed for companies because people online, they just easily like to hate, and you're like, oh, okay, you're producing stuff from cotton, but then from organic cotton, but then did you know that organic cotton to grow, it takes 10 times more land, and this land is now used just for some stupid cotton instead of feeding people, for example. So how do you, again, it goes back to the lack of standard of what is truly sustainable, which until today the industry doesn't have as a standard. I even built a tool and a software to analyze the impact of individual pieces. We actually worked with Farfetch on this tool that they to date use on their platform. So this was one thing which happened. It was rather backlash. And the second thing that happened was that people actually didn't care. We say we care about being green, but we don't really care, because what we care about is to get things in a cheap price, easily accessible, with free shipping, and the diversity and design which we want. So if it happens to be green, fantastic. If it doesn't happen to be green, I don't care. So actually companies very quickly realize that, we're doing these efforts to be sustainable, but then first, no one truly cares if the item they buy is sustainable or not. And second of all, it actually leads to more backlash than positive sentiment for our company. And I think maybe even brands incentivize the whole green fatigue thing so that they stop doing it.
Do you think that there's some of that happening?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, no one will tell you if they are, but I wouldn't be surprised. If all of a sudden the standard for street size and overweight is a new value, but really is it? Is it that, there is a whole huge new market that we're not serving, so let's all of a sudden make overweight a cute and sexy thing so that we increase our market and sell more and stimulate unhealthy behavior, which also stimulates the pharma industry? I don't know. I mean, those are things that no one can tell you.
Many times when I got brands that would label themselves as sustainable, I was paying really a lot and I would wear them twice and it would just really shrink and I could not keep those clothes. And I'm really a big enthusiast about sustainability and protecting the planet and wearing things that I'm proud of for many reasons. And I ended up recently going to Uniqlo because Uniqlo, it's not sustainable, but the clothes really tend to last long. Is it bad?
I would go back to the lack of standard. One super controversial belief that I have is, you know what? That polyester is not bad. And that it's great that polyester takes 400 years to degrade, because everyone is saying, oh, polyester takes 400 years to degrade. I'm like, honey, that's fantastic, because if it degraded just like this, all of our soils would be in plastic. So we actually have more time to think about how do we upcycle polyester before it's all degraded. Second of all, polyester is cheap. It's super versatile. You can make it into any color, any form, any shape, any, like almost any texture which you want. Like it can look like silk, it can look like rubber, it can like be done for sportswear, it could be done for elegant wear. You can make polyester into anything. So actually at the cheap, and it's fully recyclable. It's fully recyclable and it doesn't lose the quality. Whereas cotton, which is, yes, a natural material, and if you throw it on the ground, hypothetically degrades, but then it's colored with so many toxins that even if it's cotton and it's colored with toxins, the toxins are still going into our earth. Cotton takes so much land to grow, same as linen, same as all of the natural products. Not all, because some are from animals like cashmere and wool. But my point is that there is no standard evaluating the true total cost and impact of different materials. And so at the end of the day, me buying a shirt from Zara, which is maybe like it's Zara and it's cotton, it's better than me buying a linen shirt from an expensive brand which shrinks after one wash and I cannot wear it, or that I need to take to the dry clean, which uses a ton of chemicals so that I can wear it again. As Christina Dean put it, sustainability and circularity is something like a nirvana. We don't know if it's there or it's not. Like, I mean, it's a great idea. And the problems in fashion are every specific vertical of it, from how we grow the textile. So how we grow cotton, linen, how we derive wool, cashmere. The problems in fashion are in every single vertical, from how we produce the materials, how we grow cotton, how we grow linen, or how we derive polyester, which is made from petrol, to how are things being assembled, where we have the key issue of underpaid labor, underage labor as well, unethical conditions. Then we have the problem of distribution, that we actually could not predict correctly what the markets want, so we overproduce and we place it in different places around the world. So we always overproduce so that we match the supply, but then there is always overproduction. And then to how we dispose them. We don't have systems for disposing clothes. So the problems are in every single vertical of fashion, and the whole industry needs to be rethought of how it works. And so it's a huge thing, which, I mean, I'll be very excited to work on it and to figure out, okay, let's build a software for how we design clothes and actually have the humans as a major group to tell you what they want. Is like people can vote on, okay, or have the historical data to predict on what we want. We wear t-shirts this much, this cut, from these colors, from these materials, then this type of coats, bags, shoes, everything you can think of. Then we have the big data to kind of predict a little bit better by region what do we want, then produce it, then produce with circular design in mind, maybe use threads that dissolve under heat, so that when the item goes for recycling, it just goes into a hot room and all of a sudden it's ready in different pieces to be recycled. Because if you want to recycle jeans, just the cost of cutting out the buttons and removing the different parts automatically makes it not economically efficient, so they're not recycled. So this is a huge topic, and I don't think it's interesting for non fashion specialized people. So I'll just maybe recap it to buy clothes that you love. That's the only thing. Like, just think about, if you love it, give it 2 days, and if you love it 2 days from now, then buy it. That's maybe the best advice which I can give for fashion for now.
If I want to be more sustainably conscious with my buying, I just need to buy the clothes that I really, really like, so I don't waste on a lot of stuff and I keep on reusing those clothes. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, and you can look for those stuff on secondhand as well, like secondhand marketplaces, because most likely someone already bought it, wore it once or twice, got bored of it, and he's now selling it and it's almost brand new. So, and it like at least half the price. So just buy stuff that you really love and try to get them secondhand. And when you no longer wear them, try to sell them secondhand again.
I've got someone in my family that I will not name who buys stuff from Shine and Temu.
Mm-hmm.
What should I tell that person about it?
It's really hard because I always bought stuff from Temu, not from Shein, but from Temu for my kids. So I twice made that mistake. The reason why I made the mistake is again because of the key value proposition of the marketplace that you can find anything. So if I could have found exactly what I wanted sustainably made in Bulgaria in a nearby store, I would have. But because I didn't have it accessible, I got it from Temu. And so for this reason, I felt like it was okay and I'm using those stuff. The thing is that I just think we should, the same way as we try to discipline children of like not having 3 ice creams just because they want, I think we should apply kind of the same rules to us. Just because I can afford 5 things on Temu, it doesn't mean that I should be buying those 5 things on Temu. Just take a step back and be like, okay, let's apply some comfort breakers for myself. And for me, it goes for everything. It goes for what I eat. I like to apply comfort breakers. I'm not going to eat that. For sports, I don't feel like working out. Well, no, you are going to work out. To do one more task, I'm lazy, but no, you're going to do one more task. And for shopping, for me, is the same. Yes, I really like it, but let's put a little bit of discomfort and not get that thing.
Why some people say that we should not shop there?
So I'm not an expert on this topic, but I heard a very interesting perspective from one guy. He was a Chinese person. My startup was competing in a Harvard startup competition. So we managed to get to the finals, which were in London. And I go to London. And then on the way to the competition, one of the guys from Harvard, he was from China, and we were talking about it. He was like, I actually think that Shein is so much better than shopping from the other companies. And I was like, this is interesting. It's the first time I hear a positive perspective on Shein. So what he said was, anyway, they're the distributors for all of the other companies that you would buy from anyway. When you have one place which, say, has produced 1 million items and people buy directly from it, first of all, you have the cheaper price, and second of all, you optimize supply and demand. Whereas if you have this one place that produces 1 million stuff, you would have 100 companies to buy from it. And as I said, each would buy a little bit more than what they predict the demand would be. And so now they produce 1 million stuff, which they can sell over time. And they would know how much to produce next time to optimize. Whereas now they produce 1 million stuff. You have 100 companies buying 100 from like all of the 1 million stuff. Each of them have overdue, but because they got the full batch sold, they again produce 1 million items, and then it gets bought out. So actually having this straight supply and demand relationship between the factory itself and the customer is actually optimizing first the cost, because you don't have all of the mini margins, and second of all, it optimizes the supply, like how much you produce. So you actually end up having less waste. And then I thought about it, and I was like, God, so many of the things I bought from Temu for my kids, I see them the same, but branded with nice logo, with a very Scandinavian website, with the pretty packaging. And I'm like, maybe he's right, because they do put a nice packaging on it and that 300% margin on top of it. And they maybe not sell out all of it, and it's still the same product.
You know, I love hearing that, because I don't like when I see something as evil. And I think I kind of saw these companies as evil, but hearing you now, it really helps me shift my understanding, which I think is so important in the world, not to have that clear, this is good, this is bad, because the moment I get to know more about it, I realize that it's never fully black and white.
Mm.
And I would not think that I could hear something about Temu that would make me like, yeah, maybe that's great.
Yeah. honestly, I was also at the first moment, I was a little bit shocked. I was like, please tell me about your perspective. And then, of course, that people would be hating it because it is killing many businesses. Like, clearly, um, many people would love to leverage on a ready-made product from China, cheaply made directly, delivered to them as a producer, and then they do just this little fluffy stuff like a website and a branding. Because it's not easy to produce, and China is clearly a major force in producing. And so people are so hypocritical. Again, I haven't made an analysis to say black and white, which is better. But in my opinion, maybe this guy has a point in what he was saying. And I don't want people to be hypocritical to kind of hate on Shein and Temu, but just because you bought the same thing as a producer and sold it more expensive, it makes it better. It doesn't. It enriches you at the cost of the premium which you're charging for the same thing.
Do you think a lot of these problems of sustainability really are political?
I wouldn't say so. The problem with sustainability, with the lack of sustainability, is a function of us as humans not having the sufficient breadth of knowledge and capability to build systems that can be perpetually sustained. I think today is definitely, again, thanks to AI and all of the knowledge in production, sustainable materials, design thinking. If we were to reconstruct the world today, I think we probably would do a lot of things differently from scratch. But, it's a parallel universe. We know how to build smarter cities better. We know how to build fashion supply chains better. We know how to grow vegetables maybe better and more efficiently, how to fight illnesses better. And so with sustainability, I think we did our best to give people clothes, but we didn't think about, plastic bottle is great because it's cheap. And polyester clothing is great because it's cheap in any shape. But we just didn't think big enough of, but what happens if we produce 2 billion every single year and they go to the landfill again and again and again and again? Yeah. So I don't think it's political. I think it's factual.
When we were talking about the landfill, one of the things I understood that people criticize about polyester or synthetic fabrics is that it creates microplastic.
Yeah.
Which wool, for example, wouldn't, or cotton, or any kind of natural fabrics. What do you say about that?
Yeah, so polyester, if you throw it in the landfill, it disposes microplastics, and if you wash, I think one washing machine with polyester clothing releases 700,000 plastic microfibers. They are like very cheap tools that you can put in your washing machine that would catch all of the plastic microfibers and not make them released into the waters. And I think it's kind of catching on to something that is, how to put it, I don't know the term in English, but it's just one of the gazillion things. Like the same thing is with plastic bottles. The same thing is with packaged foods, like all of the packaged foods. Of course, it's better that we wear one linen robe every single day and that we have tomatoes in our yard and that we don't use cosmetics, but we use just coconut oil on our skin or so. But we as humans are designed with psychological needs for diversity, for optimizing every single process. If you can cook versus buy takeout at the same price, the majority would want to take the takeout because it's less effort. So unfortunately, maybe it's a human flaw, but we are just designed to want these shortcuts. And so I think it's just, as the next generation humans, I think we just will have to figure out how to get all of these conveniences with minimal negative externality on our environment.
So where you're at now is something like human nature is not going to help us being sustainable, and there's not really a solution for all these things. It's really going to be about the future generations to find a way to make life livable on Earth, something like that.
Mm, I think we should just challenge ourselves as humans to meet our needs for laziness, accessibility, and low price, but challenge ourselves to deliver those in sustainable ways. The same competition at Harvard that I told you about, one of the other three companies that I competed with, two of them blew my mind. I was like, just shut up and take my money, because I think you should be the winner and you do something amazing. One of the startups took graphene, which is 100% natural material, and they produced the equivalent of polyester in terms of feel. And they could produce anything from it, sportswear, jackets, whatever, and it's 100% degradable, and it has the same qualities as polyester. So I'm like, there you go. You have the
What is
new
graphene made of? What is
graph.
graphene?
So graphene is like a variation of graphite. So graphite, you know how carbon and diamonds and graphite are all made of carbon, just in different structure. Like the crystal structure is just different. So graphene is a kind of derivative. Like, I'm sorry if I say something like not accurate here. So graphene is just a form of it, and it was hard to derive, but this startup company like found a way to derive it more cheaply. And so now it is an alternative for polyester. So I'm like, there you go. You have it. And then the second company, he was a guy from Oxford. He was studying there, and in the lab in Oxford, they have funded him to do his little project. He came up with a material that is absorbent. And it absorbs moisture. And so he said, only like for, if you think female pads, diapers for babies, but also for floods when you have a lot of heavy rain, which kills all of the crops, he has this natural material which you can just sprinkle and it absorbs all of the water. And the most amazing part is that it's made from cornstarch mostly. So it's a product that degrades afterwards, and it's actually feeding the soil. And I was like, well, there you go. Like one baby on average uses 3,000 diapers in its lifetime. And we have at any point of time around 8 billion people on Earth. So if you think about this, it's like 8 million, like a percentage of these 8 million people always are babies using, from age to 0 to 3, using 3,000 diapers. I'm like, this is incredible. Just there you go. So I think it's challenging ourselves as a human race to achieve all of the conveniences that we want. Delicious food, quick to cook, healthy, clothes, diversity of clothes, anything we want cheaply, packaged food, clean water, beautiful houses, low electricity costs, but then hot water and air conditioner, but then all of this sustainable. And I think we're entering the phase of our civilization where we just go about solving all of those things.
When I look at the world right now, especially if I look at the news, I'm not sure if we're getting to a place where we're going to be able to use these things.
Yeah. Yeah. To this, I would say something that would not be very favorite, but I honestly sit and look in the news and I'm like, holy fuck, if women were in power, we would never have the balls to bomb people. Ever. Ever. Ever.
I mean, if you look at Margaret Thatcher, she was in power and she did go to war quite a bit.
Mm. Okay, modern women. Modern women, I feel would not. Like, I would not. If I had to place a bet, if Kamala Harris were to win the last election, that we would be having a war in Iran right now. But I don't know. I'm not politically an expert. So yes, these things are happening.
Are you feeling worried about the state of the world?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel like it could be the end. I feel like it could be tomorrow I can wake up to World War III. But what worries me about it is that I have children. That's what worries me. It's the weak link for me.
You wouldn't worry if it was just you.
Yeah. Something happened to me maybe around 3 years ago. So I had just given birth to my second baby, and we were in my husband's father, like, how do you call this, father house, like where he grew up as a child. It's in the suburbs. And my mom was there. She was helping me inside with the dishes. My husband was bathing the children, and I was putting all of the stuff from the table inside. So bringing them from the yard to inside, from the yard to inside. And I'm just about to bring like one more batch inside, and I look to the left, and I see the biggest meteorite falling. And I just freeze. And for a millisecond, the first instinct that I had was scream for everyone to lie on the floor. Second millisecond, there is no point. This is the end. And so in an environment where I knew it was the complete end for all of us, like me not thinking what could happen if I'm not here, but they're here, and so I'm not here to help them, this is like driving me crazy. This is what scares me the most. But in this scenario, I just stood there and I started counting. This was my third reaction. So I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I was like, I got to 8, and I was like, okay, we're not dying. What the fuck was that now? So I'm like, Mommy, I saw something, and I was like, I was shaking, and I went in, and I was like, I thought I saw a meteorite falling, but then it didn't crash, but it was so close to Earth, like it was like so close to us, but then we didn't die, like it didn't crash. So I'm like, I don't know what was that. So I go to my husband and I was like, we need to find a camera. We need to see what was that. He's like, you're just going crazy. And I'm like, exactly because I knew you would say this, I want to find a camera and see what this was. 2 hours later, news comes in that it actually was a huge meteorite, and it was actually falling in Romania. Like, imagine how big it was for me to feel like it's next to me in Bulgaria. It fell in Romania, and then it burned right before Earth. But yeah, my point for World War III is that it's not an imminent, like, okay, we all die, that's the end of the day. It's related to a lot of like variables. And so this is what kind of kills me a little bit, that you're gonna have to cope with these hard times of like, maybe we're start being bombed, we don't know what to do, everybody's trying to save themselves, you get this social unrest, everybody's fighting, killing each other. So it's just a more complex way to die. And like, I don't want to think about this.
You use AI in your work now.
Mm.
How does that work?
Oh, it works amazing. You know me, I think I'm an entrepreneur by heart. I was born like just with ideas in my mind, wanting to create stuff all of the time. When I think of a product, I don't just think of a product. I think of the branding, of the go-to-market strategy, of the evolution of what we will be doing, of the positioning, of everything that I want to do and to optimize and to do. And so up until now, I was working with people like people in different teams to deliver those things. And I realized I'm afraid to push people. I mean, push in terms of push for be more creative. Let's think further. Let's do more. Let's break this stigma. And now with AI, I can like literally like automate marketing, yes, build the concepts, yes, but I can even build the technical part of the product, which was kind of the only gray area for me, where I envision the product and the functions, and every single day I see it, there is a new thing that I want to improve about it. And this was something that I couldn't do before, and I had to rely on my team, and I felt like very not okay to push them, and like I felt, even without saying, I knew that for today I exhausted my quota of like what they have to work on, and this quota would be exhausted for months. Like I would say something and it would be like, where in the $180 that we have to fix you want to place this on? So I'll be like, okay, like, and now with AI, it's like, I want this. 3 minutes later, I got it, and it's insane. Like, it's coding stuff with the highest quality of coding, incredible design, whatever my mind imagines. I build it. I build agents to do stuff for me. Like, now I rebuilt my own platform for Nold. Like, now I built the first AI native peer-to-peer marketplace, and people literally yesterday, I got a message like, I'm comparing it to Vinted and Vestiaire, and it's 10 times better. It's just faster. It's very arranged. It has the AI search. It has the AI listing. It has the automatic agents that talk to every seller and every buyer and notifications and blah. And I also built an app to match Filipinas with families. And now I built an agent to recruit the Filipinas by itself. So it's working 24/7, finding Filipinas, texting them, onboarding them. So I don't move my finger at all to build this and scale this. So it's incredible. I love it.
So when you say to match Filipinas workers with people in the West.
Yeah.
And this agent screens the announcers on the internet and then match that with people who are looking for it, something like that?
Yeah. So it's like on the surface of it is like a Tinder for Filipinas and for families. And how I wanted to specialize it is that Filipinas that are already here invite their families so that they have stronger community here and that they don't feel alone, but they feel with their families. I mean, you and I, we know from Hong Kong how important community is for them and like what a strong bond this nation has when it comes to being close with their family. And so I was like, this is great because in Bulgaria, our Filipina, we were so fortunate to get a Filipina 6 months ago, and she's the cousin of another Filipina. And I'm very happy because I know she feels happy here because on the weekends they gather and they're together. And so I was like, this is great. And so now they're 15, all related, and they've all invited their Filipina friends. But beyond this, I built an agent which looks for more Filipinas in Singapore, in United Arab Emirates, in Hong Kong, that want to move. And the conditions actually in Singapore are super bad. Like they make them sleep in small offices, like in the office on the floor or something like this. So the conditions are not great simply because the price of property in UAE is insane. Whereas Bulgaria, for example, yes, it's further away, but now she has a whole bedroom to herself, a whole bathroom to herself, better salary. So condition-wise, it's much better. And so so this agent is going to these different platforms and looking for Filipinas who are looking to have soon ending their contracts and texting them and saying, hey, if you want, register here.
It works just for Filipinas or it works for people is this an actual project you're having that's working as a business?
Yeah, it's working. Yeah, it's working. I launched it last week. I built it for 3 days and it's working. You can check it out. It's called trustedfilipinos.com. And so
it's just for Filipinos.
It could be global with that. You can be family from anywhere in the world and you can be, for now I focused it on Filipinas because I love our Filipina and I'm doing this as a token of kind of love for her to support her community. So this is why I focused it on Filipinas. So it's called Trusted Filipinos. Those are opportunities for which the Filipinos are looking for. And if they can get better conditions elsewhere, then I'm happy to help that happen.
A lot of people love to work with Filipino people because of their ethics and the culture that people really enjoy. So it makes sense.
I mean, I've had 22 Bulgarian nannies, and what we have now with our Filipina is incomparable. It's little to say. Just incredible work ethic, attitude, character, just so much love and positivity, and it has really been. I mean, I easily say that this has been game changing for our family in terms of how much time we get to spend with our children, how much more cozier and nicer our home is, and it's just a presence that brings us joy. I mean, she is part of the family, definitely.
From being a model to being a hardcore student to being at the head of fashion platforms to being a mom? What's the mom adventure like for you?
Being a mom is what I was the least built to be of all. No, maybe I was less built to be a model, sorry. Yes, before having kids, I would think, oh, my kids are going to be so lucky that I'm their mom because I'm very cool and entrepreneurial and we're going to be doing stuff all of the time. And it turned out to not be the case that they, like at some point, it was like, we want to go to our grandmother. And then when I would go to pick them up, they would cry. Like for 20 minutes, they would cry before I arrived that they want their grandmother to save them from me. And so, yes, so it was a very, um, like shocking experience for me. It's very different than anything I had done in life. Everything I had done was all about fast pace and thinking and doing and working and thinking 10 steps ahead and just like being and having a child, you have a major advantage if you just love stopping in here and now and you don't have anything planned and you do not have to address 700 emails and get an investor report and be an entrepreneur and be a superwoman and a supermom that pumps in the warehouse while having a call and you're just happy to be at home and breastfeeding your child in the calm and in the silent. And it was like, oh my goodness, like I was so nervous all of the time because I was with the baby, with the child. Like I even set up a room in my office for me and him with the crib and with everything. And it was just so annoying all of the time that I had to juggle like him and with calls. And when he didn't fall asleep, I had to write emails like I cannot get on the call because the baby hasn't fallen asleep. And then everybody sees you as like not a committed person who can pull off a company because, oh, you're a mom now. And it was very challenging time. Definitely not what I imagined it to be. But I'm very fortunate that I learned to stop trying to juggle it all and that children are the most important part of my life and that they deserve my here and now with them. And it took me time. I definitely can say I haven't been the best mother. And if I have a third child, then definitely I want it to be in an environment where I'm not working and soak into this time with them and the care they need during their first at least 1-2 years. But at the same time, it was what it was and I am who I am. And that's it. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a better person working and during the day having help from grandmothers and from a loving nanny to help me with the kids who genuinely feels like this is their vocation. So that's just my reality. And I'm not saying it should be everybody's reality. And so many people say me, oh, you do it all. And I'm like, no, I don't do it all. Like, I think I was a horrible mother, honestly. And I wouldn't give myself as an example. I wouldn't encourage women to have babies and run startups and fundraise. And like, I literally closed the biggest round I've had, like a fundraising round. I closed it 4 hours. I gave birth. I hadn't told my investors that I was pregnant because I knew it would break the deal. 2 days before I gave birth, I just told the closest investor. And he said, you should tell everyone before we sign. And I told him, with all due respect, I'm not going to do this. Because I'm just not. I'm just going to give birth and we're going to sign the deal. And then I'm going to say that I'm going to take 2 weeks off because I want to recover and I want to have at least 2 weeks with my baby. And I don't think this is a game changer because I think everyone takes 2 weeks off a year for vacation, for occasional illness. And, it's not what breaks companies. And this is just how I'm going to play it. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. But anyway, now that they're 3 and almost 5, I finally feel like a great mother, and I finally feel in great harmony with life because they're going to kindergarten, which I love because there they come up with super creative and cool stuff for them all day long. They go with love, like every single morning they're excited to go. So we spend the mornings together, the nights together. And I feel like, and we're doing stuff that we all love. And I'm finally teaching them the things that I'm passionate about, that it's just what I do well. And it's like maybe now I work on projects, like I launched an incubator with 4 more companies to work on their business ideas. So one of them is, for example, a healthy kid snacks. So I involved all of my kids in the entire process of what should the branding look like. Like I showed them my inspirations of different companies, which I like. So they tell me, oh, I love this, I love this. Then with AI, we make like different variations of the character and they tell me, oh, I love this, but I want it in this color. So I engage them in the whole process of such like creative and entrepreneurial stuff. But then we go out and we do sports together. We do yoga together. We do Pilates together. We do math and all of the creative stuff together. So just every single, I guess, mom has her, every person is different and every person has their strengths and weaknesses. And you project this when you're a parent as well. And I'm sure we all try to be our best with the kids, but it's okay to not be the best.
Do you think that at one point your kids will come back at you with some blame on how you raised them?
For shizzle. That's what kids do.
Do you have some of that with your own parents?
Yeah.
How do they take it?
They don't take it. They have their own perspective of things.
Do you think you're going to take it from your kids?
I would try to do better than my parents to understand and to see it from their perspective. Yeah.
Do you raise your kids very differently than your parents raised you?
Yeah. Very differently. And I don't know, just yesterday we were talking about whether that's good or not, because my parents, I hope my mom doesn't watch this, but I thought my mother had given me so much independence and like let me go to Tokyo and here and there. And she always trusted so much in me because she trusted in me that I'm capable. And now that I have children and I see how she's treating my children, I realize, no, all along she just didn't bother. And this is why, like, she didn't bother to sit down with me and do painting. She didn't bother to, like, sit down and encourage me to do stuff and sports and do this and create activities and read fairy tales and immerse me in worlds. And I'm like, maybe that's why I became the way I am, and to be so initiative and independent and creative, because as a child, if it wasn't for me, then, nothing would be happening. Because now, like, she takes the kids and all day they watch TV with her. And I'm like, seriously? I mean, you see them once every 2 months. Like, you could do something with them. So how I raise my kids is that I'm extremely present. I feel massive guilt if I'm not giving my 1000%. Like, if I'm here and the kids are around, I'm like, I need to be doing something for these kids. Like, I cannot just sit down and do nothing. So I constantly come up with, I build them books, like I design logic books and math books, and all of the times some activities like over there, I could turn my camera. We've built, like, I had big boxes with sample stock arriving and they were empty. So I'm like, we're going to build a cardboard rocket. So we built a rocket. It has like scanner for the arm. Inside we have printed like earth and keyboards and etc., just so that we have fun together. So I'm very present, but at the same time, they don't know how to have fun by themselves. So I was thinking, am I raising them better or not? So I don't know.
Does the daddy take a lot of space in raising the kids more than you? How does the setup of the relationship works?
I think we have a very unique relationship where he absolutely respects the fact that I'm an entrepreneur and that I just live and breathe working. I mean, he's an entrepreneur as well. And so when we had kids, a few times I apologized to him, and I said, I just really apologize that I'm not home for our children to take the best care for them. Because as I said, we had 22 nannies. And I was like, I'm just sorry. I'm sorry I'm not this wife. And maybe in a different life, I would wish that you had a wife which was at home and gave better care to our children. And it kills me. He said, I very well knew who I am partnering up with, and I know who you are, and I knew that this was going to be the reality. So basically what I wanted to say is that he understands very well who I am and respects me and supports me in my entrepreneurship. And he, by allowing me to be an entrepreneur, he allows me to contribute to the family, and I allow him to contribute to the family financially, and I allow him to contribute to the kids in the motherhood sense. If this whole thing, I'm not sure I managed to explain it well, but basically we have equal roles in the family, financially, as parents, as entrepreneurs. So he's taking he's helping a lot in caring for the kids, and we split almost everything.
I'm hearing a lot of people saying that the whole thing with equality went too far, and that actually a lot of relationships don't work so well if the man is not a bit more of a provider, that is kind of going back to this kind of values. How do you see it, and how do you see that in your relationship? Do you agree with that?
I don't agree, because I think just like every person is different, I think every relationship is different and everyone has different needs. And I think there are women who absolutely love to be home with their children. And as I said, this is like nothing better than, you loving to be with your kid and you giving those first 2 years as opposed to nannies. And so I feel being a mother and at home is actually a very hardcore labor. So I think for this is absolutely okay for the man to be the key provider, to go and to work and to give as whatever, if possible, luxuries to the woman that she may want and ensure her to get this, she doesn't earn money. But I think in that scenario, if he can, he should be there to help her with to shop for the things she wants, to do the things she wants, to facilitate that she has a break, maybe once, twice a year when she can. So I think it's totally fine, and there are different relationships, and different things work for different couples. So I think it's the hardest thing about a successful relationship is exactly finding the equilibrium for this specific relationship. And with us, I think, I think we have found it, and I hope it maintains this way. But my husband, I think, loves the children, not just being their father, but actually being an active, being a parent. And he shows them things, he takes them, he initiates so many things for them, he cares for them. And yeah, so it's totally okay if we didn't split everything. It's just an equilibrium which makes sense. For example, if one parent really enjoys doing something and the other thing, it makes sense for you to optimize where your strengths are, right? It's just a different split for every family.
I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, I didn't think I would do that podcast with you when I met you the first time 18 years ago. Was it 18 years ago? Yeah.
Maybe 17. Yeah.
17 years ago. Yeah.
What would be your impression? What would you say about me back then? Maybe in 3 words or in a sentence, and now, because I would love, this definitely would come off egocentric, but it's very rarely that I have someone in my life that has been through me through such a long time. And when I was, completely different stages of my life.
I'm really not surprised of where you're at in life. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you of how you were exploring things and going into your passions. I was sure you were going to do amazing things. I had zero doubt about that. Yes, a few times. I mean, I remember when we were living, I think we did live together for a few months, right? In that
Yeah.
apartment where we're 7 people all partying 5 nights a week. And, and I remember some love stories and some, heartbreaks. And um, I'm just very happy to see you growing through life. And I can see that you're getting a maturity. Maybe I would say there's still this strong, quite opinionated personality that is there, and still a lot of openness and curiosity. And I'm seeing a maturity
That's
that's rising. That I do think you always had a maturity, especially for your age.
mm.
But it all seemed to be aligned. Yeah, and I'm just so proud of you and delighted and curious. And it's always a huge pleasure spending time in your company and talking to you.
Yeah, and just I actually didn't like the fact that this was so much about me and not equally about you, because from that age, I mean, back then we were meeting so many people. You were one, I mean, many people know you, and whoever knows you would confirm this, but you are the person who has always been authentically yourself in the most charming way, and you have attracted everyone around you, like from female models to male models to business people and billionaires and young and more older and mature people, and always always shared opportunities around you with all of the others, like with zero kind of expectation, just very altruistically. You have been the gatherer of energies and opportunities around you. And I just love how I actually love people not pivoting when they have a very strong belief into something, and you've had this in my mind. From the moment I met you, I remember when I asked you, so what are you doing? Are you a model? He was like, I'm working as a model, but I'm a photographer. I want to grow as a photographer. And you grew, you took pictures of so many famous people, incredible shots. You see, clearly you see life through a lens, which is so beautiful. And everything that you have done in terms of lifestyle choices, in terms of how you've developed, I loved how consistent you remained into being this authentic soul, a person who irradiates this rare, honest energy of joy, of love, wanting to go deeper with people, genuinely caring for others and to understand others more. And I cherish so much having you in your life up until today. With my mom, we talk about you so often, that you're such a positive force in my life, even though we don't get to cross paths so often these days. And I just want to say I'm so grateful that life has crossed our paths, and mostly that it has enabled us to continue talking, and regardless of space and time, for me to still have the honor of being within your energy and your presence, and have some from your time, because you're genuinely one of the most special people in my life. Absolutely.
I'm touched.
Absolutely. No, genuinely, you're so easy to love and appreciate and cherish.
But I want to thank you so much for being up to Unfold with me. It's been so much fun, and also both connecting, and I'm learning every time I'm speaking to you. So it's super exciting, and I always find great insights just from our interactions and conversations. So thank you so much for coming in and doing that with me and playing my new game with me.
Well, thank you. It was always a pleasure to spend more time with you. And to be honest, Unfolding, if I have to imagine unfolding with one person, you're definitely the one that I feel so right on point to do it. So good job on launching this initiative and for spreading your magic more.
Thank you, Rory. Thank you so much.
Love you all.